So, hi everybody, welcome back to podcast. Today is the first time that we are meeting siblings, and I have known Aarti, the younger sister, for the longest time, and I know the two of you. So, you know what? I'm not going to introduce you. Introduce yourself. You. So, who's the older one?
I'm
Pooja.
the older one.
Okay.
Oldest. I'm Pooja. I'm Aarti's older sister.
Hi, my name's Abhishek. I'm Aarti's older brother. And yeah, we're the trio.
We're the trio.
And you know, it's been such a pleasure to watch all three of you, because Pooja, I think when your family moved here, you were
I
in
wasn't
university,
here. Yeah.
and you were still
Correct,
you were still in school.
Yeah, I was still
Yeah.
at school in Dubai, yes.
Yeah, and that's when, you know, I met you when we had that fashion show,
Mm-hmm.
and you walked down the ramp with Aarti. Your siblings had to do it.
Yeah.
And
SFS, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah, no. And really, I was listening to your previous podcast with Nitin Marani, and you guys were really reminiscing on that podcast.
yeah.
Because I didn't know that was when you met him for the first time and your whole journey with them. I learned quite a lot. And really, I still have that photo of us walking down together on that. And it was a great welcome to us for what support system existed in Dubai for us as a family, as a new family to Dubai.
Because there wasn't anything before SFS, you know, and this was the first time we were also doing it, and we were just having fun. And I wanted to include the siblings because I have seen in my family, I have a cousin with Down syndrome, and he has 3 siblings. And you know, it's not been easy when you have a sibling with special needs. So I want to get back to that. So when was the first time, you know, you realize that Aarti is different or Aarti has Down syndrome? Was it explained to you by your parents, or what was it?
I was thinking about this. I can't remember an exact point when it was explained to us, but so I am 9 years older than her, and Abhishek is 7 years older than her. So that's a pretty big age gap to understand, you know, a baby and things. And at the time we were living in Kenya, and my aunt was pregnant at the same time. So there was my mom and my aunt, they were pregnant at the same time. And I remember this very well. I don't know if you will, but I remember the household at the time with 2 pregnant women. And, you know, there was a lot of attention because it was after a long time and we were quite busy with school. And then, you know, she was born and it was all very exciting. And there was this one, at that time, I used to feel very left out in the family because my name was the only one that started with P. So it became a thing that whenever this new baby is born, it's going to be named with P. And then the baby was born. It was a girl. I was so excited. I was going to have a sister. And then there was another baby also on the way with my aunt. And so, like I said, I can't remember exactly when we were told, but during that first year, I think it became very apparent to us that she was different because the other baby, our cousin Herschel, he was born 3 months after her. And we started to obviously see how he was developing versus how she was developing. And she was constantly ill. She had multiple other issues with her heart and things. And so when she was 11 months old, she'd undergone this surgery. And by that point, we knew that, you know, she was not like the other child and that she needed more support. She wasn't obviously walking when he was. But it became almost like a thing that we all did together for her. We were all included in it. It didn't feel like she was isolated. We were all 2 families as one together within the house that, you know, supported her and did everything together with her. And she became the center of our world in that way.
And Abhishek, what's your experience? What do you remember?
Yeah, so I think my memory, when I was thinking about this as well, I remember the day Mom told me that we were going to get another brother or sister, right? I remember that she was giving us a shower and, you know, obviously she was showing and she said that, you know, you're going to get another brother or sister. How do you feel? And that was the first time I remember that. I still remember exactly the time of day and where that was. And then the next memory was obviously her coming home with the baby. I remember that. That was a big event as the third baby coming over. And then the next event where I knew something was wrong, we had done in the temple my parents had built in Kenya, a 24-hour bhajan when she was having the surgery. So that was a big memory of, we used to go to school, go to the temple before school every day and go there in the morning and then go to school and then come back from school and be there for a significant number of hours to be a part of it as much as we could at that age. And I think that's when you realize that there's something significant happening and then, you know, seeing the photos with her with all of her bandaged up, etc. But never really understood the real genetic elements that she was blessed with at that point in time or born with. But I think those would be my first three main trigger points.
So did
related
your
to-
parents' attitude, or how did they change? Were they upset? Like when I found out, I was really upset. You know. So
think
do you remember?
We were too young for our
Yeah.
parents to have probably shared that with us at the time.
Definitely
So
didn't happen in front of us.
yeah,
no.
so whatever mom and dad would have gone through, I think they went through. We were not old enough to really be a part of that or take that burden from them. But I think the time that when we really realized that they were becoming part of a bigger community is when she started going to nursery, which was actually Abhishek's nursery as well, but they developed into having
Mainstream integration.
mainstream integration. And there was a few other children that had Down syndrome, and those parents then became very good family friends of ours. So then she started having a friends group from that age. And they then became very core part of our social life. We were constantly socializing with them so that the kids could integrate. And then that's when we understood that this is a condition, this is what she has, but so did the other children. What does it mean? Another, I think, big education point for us is when we started taking Aarti to BIBIC, which was in the UK. So that was the Brain Institute
For brain injured children.
Brain injured children.
Yeah.
So you
We
all
all
also
went.
take.
As a
We
whole
all
family
went.
used to
It
go.
was a whole summer thing.
But
The
you
whole-
never felt. I'm asking this because that's what we did. You know, every holiday that we had, for Janai, we took her to India and we went and saw doctors for Zara. Those were her holidays, you know. So did you, because she has not shared with me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But did you feel like, why are we doing this all the time, you know?
You know, I don't think so, because it became, I don't want to use the word project, but it became a project for all of us because she would have these yearly assessments, right? So there were certain things and certain grades that she had to pass to achieve to be able to move on to a next activity or a next kind of coordination pattern or whatever it was. So as we kind of were like, as a team, we would make sure that day she was in a good mood and she was happy, and she used to love having this makeup brush. It was her favorite makeup brush.
Yes.
And does she have her brush? Do we have a substitute one? Is she happy? Is she okay? Has she got this? To make sure that she would perform. So it became a thing that all of us did, and not really a chore. But also we were going to London, so that was also nice. We used to like going to London. We used to have a family house over there at the time with some family friends. So it was an enjoyable summer with this as part of it. So I don't think it was every holiday that we did, because again, I think the more regular checkups and stuff mom and dad did while we were at school. But this was a fun activity we all did, and we were all engaged in her everyday routine.
Did
that she
you
used to have
did
in
you
the
ever
evening.
feel like left out? Like
No, so I think mom and dad have to
Talk
get a lot
about
of
your
credit.
middle child.
middle child.
Talk about it now. You don't get left out.
No, that comes later. No, so I think mom and dad did really, really well at that point in time. Is that it was just painted to us as this is our life now, right? So we didn't know better, right? When you got
But in a positive way.
Yeah. I mean, we neither of us had a younger sister before, so it was the first time. And like she said, it was London, so we got to have some fun as well. And we used to go to this place. But I think what stood out for me is when you went to this institute where they would do this training program, one, you realize that we were much better off than many people, right? Aarti was a significantly milder case, if you can call it that way, in terms of herpes. So
higher functioning for sure.
For sure. And I think that is actually, we're seeing it now in the last 5 years, right?
In every aspect.
In every aspect, right? So I think we realized that very quickly, right? So, okay, so there is, something we should be thankful for. And the second thing is the take-home investment and learning to then make it in our daily life in Kenya. My parents did extremely well. So we dedicated an entire part of the house to that. We had a nurse that came on site every day that helped to do all these elements of vocational training, of fine motor skills training, blood circulation, and then it was everybody used
So
to be
you
part
all
of that.
also grew up really fast.
But
I
that's,
mean,
what, but it was,
that's what
it was,
happened.
But I'm saying it was normal now. This is what our life is in whichever way it was, right? So we were through the education process, and that credit has to go to mom and dad of how they really made us understand that this is our role as well.
But I don't think you can say we grew up fast, because I think it was fun in games as well. You know, we had 2 babies in the house. In another 2 years, my aunt's second child was born. So there was 3 babies in the house a lot. So there was a lot of fun, and they were very supportive in her way. I mean, those 2 cousins, the 2 siblings at the moment, are a huge support system for her as well.
Yeah.
They've grown up together.
Absolutely.
They're, the same age in terms of siblings, and they've been a huge support set for her, aside from us as the older siblings. So it wasn't a house that was, just constantly like, oh, she's not well, we've got to do this. Like, there were babies. It was constantly fun. There was kids playing. There was
So whatever y'all did, she was included always.
Yeah, all
everywhere.
the time. Yeah, she was
But
always a part of it.
how was it in Kenya growing up with someone with Down syndrome? Because in India, when my cousin, he's 5 years younger than me, but when he was growing up, it was hard,
I'm
to
sure.
even take him out. People said pagal hai. He had Down syndrome. People didn't understand. The word Down syndrome was not even
Nobody
used
knew
then.
about it.
It
Yeah.
was Mongol,
I think
And-
that's what my mom was told first, from
Yeah.
what I understand. No, again, like I said, the first 2 years was, I'm sure, a very steep learning curve for mom and dad to understand what they needed to do. Once we were on board with all of these treatments and the therapy, it was just, we all just took it on board. And as soon as she started nursery, and there were other children, and there were other friends and other parents, and Indian, Gujarati, relatable, they could kind of, speak on that sort of level. It
Bhavesh, right?
Bhavik.
Bhavik and Janak.
Bhavik. Yeah.
Bhavik and Janak, they were the two main. And then it just, they're still very good family friends that we have. We meet them every time we go back, and the children and their siblings. So that became just part of family. And
Yeah.
But did you
I-
feel
sorry.
when you went out with her that people were staring and
I'm sure it happened.
didn't really notice
I've
it.
not really taken notice of a significant instance where something like that happened. But I also think that maybe Nairobi at that point in time was actually a right place to be, because it was, I think, a lot easier. That saying of it takes a village to bring up somebody. It really was kind of like that, where kind of like what you created here. I think that happened naturally in a much smaller setting overall, and there was quite a significant a number of children and families that needed that. So I think it was a good place to start out for that. But then I think there was limitations very clearly as she was going to get older, and part of the move to Dubai was for that as well.
and look how much
Yeah.
she's achieved.
Exactly. And, going back to did people stare, or again, because she was a significantly milder case or high performing child, she was very cute. So she was she was the center of attention a lot. If
Yeah.
you see her baby pictures, she was very, very cute,
The fringe.
Yeah,
and I
with
have
the
photos
fringe,
of her.
exactly.
Very lovable.
So she was very lovable, and she was very cute, and she was very responsive
Yeah.
to people.
No
And
tantrums. She
no
didn't have
tantrums,
bad
so many.
attitude
No,
and nothing
exactly.
like
So,
that.
and she didn't have a bad temper. She doesn't even till today, unless it's at Abhishek sometimes. But she
Have a
was
fun
very,
story.
very responsive to people. So she would react, she would interact. And I think that made her a little bit more the center of attention, rather than she's weird or she's odd.
I'm sure, but 2 years difference between the two of y'all must have fought.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Still.
Just before you came.
But how was it? How was it with Aarti? Okay, the age difference is a big thing.
Yeah.
But did you ever just tell her off, get out of my room? I don't want to
No.
hear. Just stop it, and
No, me never. Because, again, the age difference is such that you're old enough, right? Like, my daughter is 10 now. I can see how she is, for example, with Abhishek's kids, the younger ones. There is that maternal aspect that comes in quite early on. And I was the oldest child, so I was used to that, plus the 2 other babies. So I loved the kids. I loved the babies. I loved being with them. So, no, I've never, told her off or gotten in an argument with her. Now, sometimes if mom is frustrated with her, if she's not doing what she's told to, I will speak to her to be like, look, listen, but never tell her off, or never, I've never raised my voice at her or got annoyed at her in that way.
Aarti's not a back talker or rebellious, but she's also one of those people that if it's
Can
no,
be
it's
stubborn.
no. If
Yeah.
it's
She's
no, it's no.
stubborn.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think we realized early on you cannot force her to do anything. And I think, we'll talk about it later, I'm sure, but the stage in life where she's at right now, I just think she's experimenting. And each time we say we'll only take it further when she says she enjoys it. I think that's been now a motto we followed overall. I can tell you one funny instance of when we did not fight. I mean, it was quite interesting. So we're all big fans of mango, right? And we were sitting in our TV room. She was much younger, and she wanted some mango that I had, and I said, "No, that's my mango, right? I'm not going to give it to you." And then she just leapt up and bit me significantly hard on my back, and she was stuck on my back, and I was trying to get her off me, and she was bit me, and I was that was the most unbelievable thing. I think there was.
But it was the most uncharacteristic thing for us.
uncharacteristic.
We were
I was
all
like- I
just
was
like,
I was like, what is going on here? But I think that's literally only the one instance in all the years.
But what did you do?
I don't know. Obviously, I think I was probably crying. I mean, it hurt. It hurt quite a bit. She was bitten me.
Middle child.
Yeah, see that? That would never happen to the oldest.
But I also would never have said no to her. That's the difference.
Mango season is a rare commodity. That's all I can say.
Is
even
it
till
still
today.
the same?
Even till today. Like, I don't share with my kids. I say, you go get your own.
It's so nice to hear all this because I'm also thinking about my home and with Janai. Like Zara was allowed to do anything in her room. She would never tell her off. But when her cousins came, she would say, like, get out, don't touch this. This is mine, don't touch it. But with Zara, everything was allowed.
It's the same with me and him. I remember he would come to my room, I'm like, you can't touch this. He's like, but Aarti's here. I'm like, she can do what she wants.
Yeah.
You have to leave.
So, it's so wonderful to see that they brought in empathy without
trying.
You just empathize. You don't feel sorry for them, but you want them to have the best life, and
For
you
sure.
want to spoil. And so you were away in university.
Yeah.
Did you call when did you speak to her specifically, or were you just calling home and speaking to mom and dad?
Yeah, I don't remember ever speaking to her specifically when I was away. I used to come back quite often. So I used to come back every
3 months, yeah.
And sometimes in between as well.
Yeah.
So, every 6 to 8 weeks or 3 months I was back. So I was back quite often. Phone calls when I was in boarding school and university were a rarity. I won't say how old I am. This is quite a long time ago. So we didn't have mobile phones in the beginning. So I used to be allowed one call a weekend or whatever. So it was pretty quick. There was, it's not like now. And then I used to write a lot of emails to mom and dad, which of course at that time she wasn't doing. So no, I never used to speak to her. But then when I was home, of course, we spent a lot of time
And
together.
how was her reaction when you came home? Did she miss you? Did she say, yeah.
I should hope so. Yeah, I felt like she did.
Do you remember?
I mean, so those years, right? I mean, when Pooja was at university, was at boarding school, it was me, mom, and Aarti that kind of moved to Dubai. Right, dad was still in Kenya for work, and Pooja was away. So us three became quite a strong unit over here of what we had to do and how we had to sort of, explore this new city. We had my mom's brother's family that lived in the same building that obviously helped us a lot. So I think we became quite close from that point of view. But I think it was still, there was not so much, I would say, conversation with her, figuring out what she wants. It was still just trying to help her do what mom said she had to do.
Even then, she was developing her language.
I think so.
She was not very verbal.
Yeah.
And she would say yes.
Yeah, you're triggering a lot at the moment by these questions because it's like, I don't know we ever really reflect on those moments or what were key pivotal moments in her life where something happened, like there was a leap of a decision that was made or something that she did that, went over across. And I think, like I said, the last 5 years, there's a lot more, or the last even 8 years, a lot more.
Yeah, longer, I think. 8, 9.
But, nothing significant comes to mind overall. But it was just, I think mom was very clear. She wanted her always to be integrated with mainstream children as much as we can. So I think we struggled with where to send her when we came to Dubai a lot. We had tried, Horizon School was known for it. I don't think we couldn't get a space in there. Then we were Dubai Center for Special Needs and Al Noor. But I think each one has given her something quite significant from that point of view.
I saw her grow in Dubai Center.
And
I used to be a volunteer there.
Yeah.
And I saw her, grow. And that's when that passion of Hindi Bollywood music and dancing started.
Yeah.
And all she wanted to do was perform on stage.
Yeah.
She was not getting the opportunity very often. And I would keep saying, she's really good. Just give her a chance. Please give her a chance. Give her the solo.
Yeah.
And then I would call your mom and say, which song is
does she
she like now? And then your mom would say, I said, okay, this song, just watch how she dances on this,
Yeah.
And I saw the growth.
But you see, I think, like Abhishek said, at every moment, phase, or whatever you call it, because her life is, I don't think we can segment her life like a mainstream person that you have a toddler and then a child and then preteens and teens, because it's a little bit more protracted. But at every stage in her life, I think there's been a pivotal person that has helped influence or guide some of the decisions and where she is today. So that example that you've just given, I think, is one of the reasons why she got confident on stage. And then there have been other people along the way through the various organizations and things that she's been part of and that mom has introduced her to or met along the way that have helped her reach where she is, like COVID and the fitness thing that came about her. That was, I mean, if I was to, 15 years ago, I would never ever have said that this is something she would go into, knowing her.
With her
And
food.
with her food,
Yeah.
with her
much she
body
loves it.
type, with everything. This was a complete surprise to all of us. I could imagine she could have been an artist. I could have imagined she could be a dancer. I could have
Photographer, yeah.
anything creative. I could never have imagined she would have gone into fitness. So, every little thing that's happened in every person she's met along the way has made a pivotal, significant difference in her life to what she's achieved today.
So, did you all also guide her, or did you, say that, okay, let's try this, let's
I mean,
do
I would
this?
never have told her to go to the gym. That would have been a non-starter. I would never have thought this is a good path. Let's try this.
And the aerial yoga.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah.
This, if I was to try something, let's go for pottery, or I would never have gone, let's go to the gym.
But I think, Gulshan, on this, again, it really comes back to mom and dad being very free to experiment, right? And the more and more we have been exposed to many other people that are having children like this, they just by default assume a lot is no, right? It's not that let's try and see. So mom and dad get a lot of, I think, credit for that. But also, second, someone like you, and I've said it to you many times, every time you message on one of the photos, I say, you've been the single, probably largest, most consistent influence outside the family in her life. And I think we are truly grateful for that, right? You've really challenged our thinking as a family. You've challenged what she's capable to do. And I think not everybody is as fortunate to have someone like that outside, right? Because, and it's not to, because it's your podcast, but in genuine, because it has really said that, Gulshan said this, and you kind of became that go-to person. And I really hope everybody has that, because it's not that easy to find, to understand your child's potential.
It was your mom who would call me and she would feel like saturated. Now she's done with this.
What else?
What else? What do you think of this? In 2019, when the Special Olympics happened, and it was your mom, it was not Aarti, who said, I wish she had participated. And it was her who said, she could have done weightlifting. I said, wow, this is some niche, but do you think she can do it? She said, yeah, So it was her who made all the
connections.
She said weightlifting is something that Aarti should do.
Could do.
Yeah, and should and could. And, she believed in her.
Yeah. But there is, there has to be like a support system of, here's my crazy idea, for someone to validate it, and I think you've been quite good at that. And also the confidence you give Aarti. You can say what you want to say. You can express yourself how you want to express yourself, which I think, like you said, people assume that, it's okay, don't ask them. It's okay, they don't really need to speak about this kind of thing. And I think that openness, even with the social aspect with Mawaheb, for example, I remember... Which birthday was it? Her 25th birthday that we had at home, the cowboy one. She picked a theme. She's like, I want a birthday at home. This is the theme. This is what I want. This is what I want. And she dictated the entire theme to us. And I said, yeah, it was fine. It's going to come. We came. My daughter was younger at the time, and my son, and I think he only had one daughter at the time. And we all came, and then all her friends came, and it was a delight to meet all of them. It was a delight to see them all party and enjoy.
They had shots.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my God. Mom and I was like,
yeah, we were
okay?
She's 25.
My grandma hat came on at that point. I was like, guys, I don't think that we should be doing this. And my mom was like, no, but they're saying they can. I'm like, but they might say, but they're in our house. Like, I'm not sure we should be doing this. And, they had and I was watching as a parent, and I was thinking, this is just so, so heartwarming to watch that they are enjoying, like him and I have enjoyed when we've gone to a friend's house for parties and things like that. And later at the end of the night, her friends left and everything, and we all sat down and we were laughing and we were talking about it. And I just had to ask her, I was like, Aarti, so did this meet your expectations? And she kind of took one moment to think, and I was like, no, because it blew mine. Because I had in my wildest dreams, an expectation that your 25th birthday was going to be like this. But it was great. It was really nice to see. And the parents of the other children that came over, they enjoyed, and they were so relaxed and so chilled about it. And they were all drinking, and we were like, no, but it's good for us to see this.
Yeah.
She enjoys a glass of wine. She has a gin and tonic when she wants to, when she's out with us. It's good.
So we had taken... When I was a teacher at Mawaheb, an art studio for adults with disabilities, Aarti was there. She used to come once a week because she was working. And we had taken them on a cruise.
Yeah.
So the first day, I said, alcohol is there. So we have wine bottles on the table. If you want to drink, you drink. If you you all are adults. So you have to make the choice. I choose not to drink because I don't feel the need to drink. I've never had a sip. I don't feel that I need to drink. Our director said, I choose to drink because I enjoy it. Now it's up to you. So they all said, and I said, if it's for religious reasons, nobody's forcing you, it's there. But if you want to drink, you drink. And they poured themselves. And the first night, they all had a glass of red wine. And all their heads just started to go down like
No,
that.
no. Oh, God. That is a big responsibility.
So we took them to their cabins and we said, sleep it over and then come the next day. Next night, we put those same bottles and we said, okay, the bottles again. And they said, no, we've had enough. So again, they...
to allow them the decision.
Yeah, we have to give them that choice, which...
Let them learn from their own
Yeah.
experiences, right? Yeah.
So the Aarti was sharing the room with her friend Anjali. I mean, the cabin on the cruise. So we had told them that we will be sitting here for breakfast. This will be the place for lunch and this will be the place for dinner. So we are not coming. We don't even know on the ship where your cabins are. So you all have, we were like 3 staff and the rest were all the students. And he said, we are not coming looking for you all. So if you all are not there, you miss the meal. He said, okay. So the first morning, Aarti and Anjali did not show up for breakfast. They didn't show up for lunch either. And yeah, it was like, oh my God.
Where are they?
Where are they? But I said, we are not going to call. We are not going to go to their cabin. We are not going to knock on their door. We'll see when they come. So they woke up around 4:30. They
wow.
were dressed and they came down and they said, oh, we're really hungry. Now we're on the cruise, right? We can get food anytime we want.
Yeah.
I said, sorry, now it's like Ramadan. So you have to stay
till
hungry
dinner.
till 7 o'clock. We'll have dinner at 7. So if you chose to miss breakfast and lunch, now you eat dinner at 7 with us. So they were like starving.
Yeah, sure.
And they were looking at me like, you can't do this to us. I said, next morning they were there for breakfast. And every morning after that,
Yeah.
So Aarti learned her.
So by the way, that kind of thing, only Gulshan auntie could do.
Yeah.
Right? None of us could do that.
No.
Right? And you had a point earlier about expectations. It's all of us, like in the family, Aarti's expectations are always up there, right? In terms of how she likes a party done, what kind of holiday when she wants to go on, what kind of car she needs to drive. Aarti's expectations are up there. We always worry about meeting her expectations.
Just to give you an example, her 30th birthday, said, what do you want? She looked at that, she's like, a yacht? I'm like, okay, let's start with the car. Let's start with the car, then we'll get to the yacht.
So we're always striving to deliver, but we always end up under-delivering. Hopefully she's getting there. But no, honestly, it's so interesting, I think, more and more as it happens, that she is now developed fully, I think, her likes and needs. Her dream has been one and has never really changed, which is awesome, right? Of having clarity on what your dream is, to dance on stage with Hrithik and Tiger
And Tiger
at the
Shroff.
IFA Awards.
At
right?
the IFA. It will happen.
And we all believe at some point it
Yeah.
can, but it has not changed, right?
Yeah.
A lot else has
been
changed.
consistent.
It has been the one consistent factor, and I think that is our goal to try and make that happen at some point. And when
Not
she
to
said-
meet.
Yeah.
She said, I will
Yeah.
meet
She's
them.
met.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's met.
I will
She's met.
meet
She's
them,
met.
but I want to dance.
Yeah, she's met.
Yeah.
I think the
Exactly.
meeting part
On
is
stage.
okay. Anybody can meet.
Yeah, so I think, she's still developing that, but I think the core is now solid, right? So it's great, and I think all these experiences we just described now have helped develop that. That base has now been made for her, which is very great. I mean, very great.
When she did the podcast with me, she said, I'll come and pick you up in my car. I said, she was so confident about it.
Yeah.
And honestly, few years back, I don't think I would have even chosen her for the podcast, because I said,
What's
is
changed?
Aarti going to be able to,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
what's
speak for an
changed
hour?
is her level of confidence and her dedication. That has surprised me the most, I think, in everything that she's done. She's always been our baby. Till today, I call her baby. I don't call her Aarti.
Yeah.
She's always baby, And that hasn't changed or hindered or anything else, but her confidence and her dedication, like when she's on her meal plans and she knows, no means no,
Yeah.
and she's a foodie. We
Yeah.
all know she's a foodie, but she has, her path set. She knows what she's going for, and she knows if she's not allowed, she's not allowed. and then she has her cheat meal once a week, and she fully indulges in that. But for the way she's grown up and always been indulged, that level of discipline and the dedication that she has now, I think has been a real changer for her. And that, I think, has brought the confidence as well, because she's confident to say no, she's confident to say yes, and she's confident to speak. She's very confident to tell everybody what she's doing and what she's up to. We go out for his birthday or with my friends or any. She's very confident to hold conversations on her own, which again,
with complete strangers.
With complete strangers.
But initially, when you all were growing up, and would you take her along with your friends, or would you say no, not? I mean, she is so much younger.
Yeah, when we were teenagers, probably not, because we were still growing up as well. But Abhishek probably would know. He was here more. I didn't have very many friends here when I moved here. So for me, it was a little bit more difficult in my social group. But then she used to stay with me quite a lot, and they all knew. So when she was staying with me, if I was out with friends, she was coming with us all the time. Yeah. But growing up, I think you would have more.
Yeah, no,
and did you have to explain to your friends that?
Not really.
That
no. And again, because there's nothing. How can I don't know how to say this.
We've been very vocal about it. Well, at least I've been very vocal about it to my
but what I mean is that
friends.
you don't have to explain my sister's coming along. There's no special requirements that anybody has to cater to. So if she's coming to my friend's house for dinner, nothing extra has to be done for her, right? Like, she's coming, she eats what we're eating, she's going to sit where we're sitting. Like, she's not, doesn't have any physical impairments or any speech kind of impairment. Like, she's very capable to be in a social setting.
And you see that your friends are interacting with her, or do they just
No,
tend to...
definitely they do.
So they do.
Yeah, for sure, they do interact with her. But I think the reason I've never felt the need to explain is because I'm not asking for anything by bringing her along, any special requirements, or, like, for example, if I'm taking my daddy somewhere, or I have to see how many steps there are, will the wheelchair pass? You know what I mean? There's none of that needed to be considered. She was just coming with me.
But one of the things, I think there was a significant turning point to allow for this confidence, where she can speak to anybody very confidently, was her getting a job at Shaloub. So first, again, I think mom takes a lot of credit for finding that, or however she got it, and really pursuing it. And then, I mean, I know a lot of people that work at Shaloub. I'm like, you guys don't understand what you've done for us. And they're like, dude, we're very happy to have her. And she has to deliver like everybody else. But her having that routine and normality, and earning her own money, and having work colleagues, because that's something she's seen us always talk about, right? So that's always something she's wanted because of her older siblings. So having her own world that we don't know about is very exciting for her. They go out for work lunches, they go out for team lunches, and I think that has really, really pushed her up, right?
She even bought me a gift when she started.
I'll tell you, for example, right? So
and she said, this is with the discount card from Shaloub. And it was this huge, I think she gave it to me on her 25th birthday.
Yeah.
And she said, like a return present, but she said, I paid for it with my discount card.
And my credit card.
And, I mean, that meant so much
for
to
sure.
me.
Like, sometimes she'll treat us and the kids to ice cream or something, and she's contributing, right? Like, she's not now just somebody that's just coming along with family. She can now say, I want to do that. And honestly, it's incredible for her. Like, one instance I'll remember a few years ago, we had gone somewhere on a weekend, and we came back to D3, and we went to Joe and the Juice for lunch with the kids. And she went in there, and she said hi to the guy, because she sees him every day. And she went to the counter with me, and she spoke to him in Hindi. And I was like, what is going on? He goes, kaisa hai? Aaj sandwich hai? I'm like, who's this? Right? I'd never heard her speak like that, right? But it was her local place. She used to go there every day. It was her hood. She wanted to show us around. And that's the kind of confidence building that just exposure does, right? And she's been able to just build on that. And even, like, for example, Pooja was just saying, my birthday, it's like, she knows a lot of my friends over the years, but there are many new friends over there. And many of them say, like, dude, you've been describing your sister, but we had such a great conversation with her, right? Very, very casually, very normally. She's very able to tell us about what she wants to do.
But are you always, looking from the side, like, is she participating?
That's why I get invited.
Is she with? is she not being left alone, or
So,
do you feel that you need to do that?
Keep an eye on her,
you have to keep
for
an eye.
sure.
Yeah.
We do have to keep an eye on her, and I'm very aware of when she's
sure.
not included, or she's gotten a little bit bored, or it's too loud for her to interact and stuff like that. And like, she'll have a drink, she'll eat, she'll do whatever. But it was an interesting question. One of my work colleagues asked me. They must have seen pictures on Instagram, and they said, "I've never really asked you, but how does this work? Like, how does your sister interact or participate in this type of event? It's a big group event. I don't know if you've ever seen his birthday, but it's a big group event. And we go, from bar to bar, and we're all dressed all in the same T-shirt, and it's like a big kind of hoo-ha
I
thing.
like even your mom's 60th birthday.
Yeah, we're all.
I said, I am not even posting about my 60th birthday.
Yeah. So it's an event, right? It's a biannual event. And they just asked me, they were like, so how does this work? Like, does she participate in the drinking games, or what does she do? I'm like, no, she doesn't obviously participate in all the drinking games. That's quite aggressive.
Some
but
she does. Yeah.
She has a couple of drinks. She interacts with
But
the
would
people.
you tell her, Aarti, you had enough, now stop?
I think she would say
She would
herself.
say-
I've never had to say no to her. Dad has said no
That
to
conditioning
her.
has come from Dad.
Yeah,
right?
Dad has said no to her a
Yeah.
couple of times. I've even encouraged
Yeah, because
her
she's
to
told
have-
me I can have one drink.
Exactly.
One
Yeah,
drink.
that
that's
conditioning
from
has come from Dad. Yeah.
So I'm more that I would encourage her to have another one. It's okay. I'm here. I'm with you. Like nothing will happen. Bhaiya is here as well. So I would be more the have another one type rather than you can't have any more. And I've never seen her actually have too many or even be a little bit tipsy. I've never seen her. But that was an interesting question. I just said, well, she's with me. I don't think she would go if either my brother or my I wasn't there. But yeah, I never thought about it. Like, how does this work? It was the way the question was phrased. Like, how does this work? Like, if she's out in a situation like this, I'm like, well, it just works. I've never thought about it.
Yeah.
She's always been a part of it. But yes, mindful and
For sure.
watching
Did
her.
you feel like, were you initially like, okay, y'all are going out, take Aarti with you? Was that, if you're going for a movie, take Aarti? Was that
So
ever?
me growing up here, that was fairly common, right? So that's to
But
answer
did
that,
you feel like now, why do I have to take her at some
there were
stage?
certain places you couldn't make it comfortable for her. Like when I was, let's say, 21, she was still maybe 15, right? Some things that you just can't take her for that. And Mom used to always say that, hey, look, we're busy tonight. Can you do something? And I think that conversation was there, right? And especially when you're starting your own families or you're starting your own relationships or whatever, it can be a little bit on complicated time. But it's never been a significant issue, at least from my side. I don't know Mom's side or Dad's side of the story on that maybe they really had to sacrifice a lot because they couldn't take her or whatever it is. But I think now, if I look at it between all three sets of lives, so Pooja's life, my life, and my parents' life, it's very understood in our close family circles that Aarti will be around there and she can be around there, right? And it's, I think, very welcomed, very well appreciated by a lot of people around us. And I think a lot of that has to do with our attitude towards it, right?
Yeah.
We've just said, look, Aarti's coming. And if I told my friends that even if it's just like a dinner of 6 of us and I said she's coming as the 7th person, it's never going to be an issue with my close friends because of so many years of understanding what that is. And they know our family's hopes and dreams for her. And some of them have been helpful for that, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, I think, a lot to do with just that mindset and us making that this is
And I
our
think,
life.
like I said, the large part of it is that she doesn't come with anything extra, right? She's coming for dinner. She's coming for dinner. It's another person at the table, right?
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. There's no additional requirements that need
And
to be
even
catered to.
she doesn't want so much attention. She's
Yeah,
fine
she's
listening
fine.
to everybody.
She'll listen, she'll
and-
contribute
yeah.
when she wants to. I think what's really
But she loves telling a story. She loves telling a story, which is
for
is
anyone
great.
who will listen.
I think it's so important that she has that pride of who she is,
Yeah.
right?
And what
Because she
she's
loves
achieved.
telling a story,
Yeah.
right? About her
Of
diet,
Shaloop group.
her
of-
Shaloop, her work,
everything.
her work achievements.
So when I used to be her teacher at Mawab, that once a week she would come, she'd open her dabba, her lunch box, and show me the Maharaj has made this. Now I'm vegetarian as well. I said, "Oh, can I?" So she said, "No, this is my lunch." She refused to share. Yeah. She said, "No." I said, "Then why are you showing it to me? Don't come and tempt me every time Maharaj has made this, and then not let
then
me
not share.
Yeah, and then not share." But when the fitness journey started, and then she'd come and show, I said, "You eat it. It's fine." Because
You need it.
the portion was also less.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was like so particular. And she said, and then she would want to discuss with me about her
What's
diet.
in
And,
it? Yeah.
and then she'd go on about her cheat meal and I can eat this. And I said, okay, good for you.
Yeah.
And, it was, she was really motivating me. And she said, Gulshan, you start going to the gym. And one day. And she would like keep encouraging me.
Yeah.
And then I would see her, and I'd see all of you running with her, cycling with her. And, I would say, oh God, I wish I could just do this. I'm awake in the morning. It's not like I wake up late or anything. So why can't I just go? Just go with her.
Yeah.
And she would say, just come, just run with me,
Yeah.
And I never did it. Maybe one day.
One day.
Never too late.
Never too late. No.
But it's amazing, the family. And I have to say, that I wanted honestly to have Karishma as well, your wife, because she's been like a sibling as well. But they said we can't have 3 people. So that's the reason I didn't invite her. But I've seen how much she started the Instagram page for her. She was posting, and it was amazing what Karishma was doing. So was it important when you were choosing your spouse that she would have to be accepting of your sister? Was that like a big criteria?
100%. So there was 2 things before Karishma and I sort of had the conversation of, hey, this is serious or whatever. One is not relevant for this, but the other one was that, hey, Aarti will be with us most likely for forever. I mean, it's something that I want you to digest and tell me if you're comfortable with it or not, because that is something that's going to happen.
And if it was a no?
I think it would have been a very hard conversation. I mean, even our entire setup has been like that because mom and dad and I live very close together. Different houses, but very close together. And one of the reasons is that if mom and dad want to travel, it's easy. We're close by. I mean, and also as they get older, we're close by. And I think that has been the logic behind that. So, and Karishma has been awesome. I mean, like you said, the Instagram page was her idea. And she comes and stays at our house. She comes and stays at Pooja's house. And she enjoys it. I mean, it's great. I think you remember in the early days when Krishna and I just got married, we had no help. We were just a couple at home, no kids, and I had to wash the dishes. So Aarti came over, and I was like, Aarti, you got to wash the dishes here. She didn't come back after that.
She came to my house.
She came to Pooja's house. I was like, here, if you eat, you got to wash the dishes. That's the rules I live under. You got to live under the same rules. It took me a few years to win her back, but she's now back.
But what's amazing about her is that she's so adaptive as a person as well. She's very, very disciplined, and she's got her routine and with her meal plans and everything, and Maharaj makes everything for her. But she's very adaptive. Like, she fits in like a glove when she's at my house. She fits in when she's over there. The kids love having her over. There was one time when she had to cancel and she couldn't come. My daughter was in tears, but you promised she was going to come. Aarti Masi was going to come. Why is she not coming? When is she going to come again? Can I speak to her? And for whatever reason, she ended up not coming. So they look forward to her coming as well. They play with her. They're doing their whole thing then revolves around, well, we play this game with Aarti Masi. We're going to do this with her. We're going to sleep with her. We're going to do this. The whole bed routine changes. Rahil gets kicked out and she comes into her room to sleep. So, it's very much like a whole...
A unit.
A unit, and it's kind of like musical beds. Like, wherever she is, we all just work around each other to make it work. And it's kind of like a really fun experience when she's there.
Did you have to ever explain to your kids that Masi is like this?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
No. So the one time I had to explain it to them in our community, in our community, there is an older autistic boy, and our house overlooks the communal playground, and he hangs around quite a lot over there. Now he's a lot older. I think he must be in his late 20s, maybe early 30s, and he scares the children sometimes a little bit. So they are used to him because they've seen him there the whole time that we've lived there. But sometimes their friends come over and react to him, right? And it makes them react because they don't understand the reaction, but they can see that something's wrong, but they're not used to reacting to it. So one time I was asked, they were like, what's wrong with him, right? And I found it difficult to explain. I said, look, he is probably has something called autism. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it is for sure. This is what it means. There are people that are born different to us sometimes, like Aarti Masi. And I remember her finding it very shocking. She was like, what do you mean she's different? Because I don't think they've ever seen her in that way, right? They've never acknowledged it in that way. She's like, what do you mean she's different? I said, well, because they have different kind of conditions. They have different learning abilities. They see the world in a different way. You see things your way. I see things my way. She sees things in another way. It's the same for this guy, and every person is different and individual. So I don't think I could go into it any more than that to explain the details of what it was.
And maybe they didn't require it either.
But I think it was enough because
But if you ever saw them disrespecting her,
No, then they
Then-
would be told off. For sure, they would be told off. I remember once there was an incident and they were told off for sure. And that's not more so disrespecting her, disrespecting anybody. It's not just individualistic to her. If it was to even the house help or anyone, me or anyone, that's a life rule. It's not partial to one or the other. Disrespecting anybody is not allowed. So I don't think it's related to that in particular. But that's the only way I could really think about describing it. But I've never really gone into it in detail.
and you with your 3 daughters, beautiful daughters, that
Yeah, so I think we're a little bit earlier in the game, but Karishma's style of parenting, which she has also taught me quite a bit on, is being very direct about it. So she's from day one saying, Aarti Masi has Down syndrome. This is what Down syndrome is, right? And they'll have lots of questions or they won't understand, but she's kept that narrative very open and very direct.
so
right?
they can come and ask her anything.
Exactly, right? Because Aarti also knows now. Aarti also knows herself,
Yeah.
and she's able to describe her
about it.
position and what it is to a certain extent, and made them very understanding or let's say sensitive towards it. So on World Down Syndrome Day, they'll go to school in different socks, even if it's not a thing at school, right? So I think Karishma takes a lot of credit for that and really trying to make it very normal. And I think she's done that for as a parenting style for very complicated things, right? That I would never say certain things, right? And she's been very direct with it. I'm like, you can't say that to the kids. It's too early, right? But she's like very direct, very open with it, and things like that. So I think that has till date been very easy from that point of view. And similarly, they absolutely love having her around, right? Absolutely love having her around.
And she loves being with.
Yeah, she loves
Yeah,
Oh
she
my
loves with
God.
kids.
She's always talking about all of them and telling me, what each one likes and what they like to do. And,
Yeah.
she's such a part of.
Because she
the-
has an individual relationship with
Yeah.
all 5
With
of them.
all, yeah.
Like it's not
Because she's
just,
the big sister,
Yeah.
right? She's the big sister. And one thing that actually one of my kids asked me that triggered an old memory was somebody said, at Aarti for his wedding, we'll do this, right? And I remember me asking mom years ago that, at Aarti's wedding, we'll do this. And mom kind of said to me, it's like, it's unlikely that Aarti will get married, right? And
I don't think now.
yeah, no, I know. But this is something at that point, right? We were talking about it outside before. I was like, I'm still not going to be okay with that. At a point in
I
time,
don't know.
I'm not sure how we're going to deal with that. But and that's that element of, okay, what is it that could happen, right? And that memory of when your kids ask you that and you don't have an answer, and you got a sort of vaguish answer so many years ago. It triggers a lot of questions and you continue to wonder. But my personal view is, as long as she's happy, she's healthy, and she's really still motivated and enjoyed to what she's doing, because she changes quite often, right? In terms of she has phases of interest, but who knows? It's very
With her fitness thing, it's been quite a long
Quite a
time.
long
quite consistent.
And I
yeah.
think, Heroes of Hope, Holly,
yeah,
has really done
has
well.
really done
She
a
is
fantastic
incredible.
job.
yeah.
I haven't
she's
met Holly, but I keep hearing from Aarti.
Miss Holly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Miss Holly rules
No,
her
but
life.
what was really interesting this time? So this all caught us off guard, right? We did some portfolio shots for her. Karishma said, document her fitness journey, and we started doing a bit of that. And Karishma was managing the social media account. And then, you had Adidas come along, and you had Indigo Hotels come along, and you had all this. And so we were like completely caught off guard. We didn't know what was going on, right? But then we started to figure out, does Aarti like it? Because that's always the first question,
Yeah.
right? Because mom will always say, this is my dream for her. But I've always been saying, but make sure she likes it.
She likes
right?
it.
She's
Because you
enjoying
cannot
it.
force her. You know that now. Like, that whole Olympics thing. I was like, Mom, is that your dream or is it her dream, right? Figure out first whose dream it is. And then we can plan a path against that. And then, she loves the attention. I mean, she's a Shah kid. She loves the attention, right? There's no shaming on that one, right? And so she loves the attention. Okay, now we put, a lot more systems behind it. And I think, putting a little bit of investment behind getting the right content and developing that. So I think it is now maturing really nicely into her really dictating what she wants to do. Like her doing a triathlon. Like she was an unbelievable swimmer when she was younger. An unbelievable swimmer,
She was a really
right?
good
But she completely just fell out of love with it, right? But now her to come back and get in the pool and do it as part of triathlon was her figuring it out and
Yeah.
somebody pushing her like Holly. So it's a really interesting phase overall where she's really found what she wants and she's got this whole suite of activities she can go to at any point in time to feel happy.
But it comes back to these key people like
Yeah.
you and like Holly that are able to push her in her comfort zone. Because, like, Abhishek said, only Gulshan can do this, or only Miss Holly can do this. If I tell her to get up and do this, I'm just going to get the look.
Like, I wanted her to model, when,
Yeah.
when my daughter was modeling, I called your mom. I said, we don't see representation
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
people with Down syndrome. And why?
Yeah,
Why can't she,
Yeah.
So I took some few shots. We sent it to Bareface. They didn't get back. Then, this model came from Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was like this supermodel. She was on all New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. So I called Avni and I said, bring Aarti. She has to meet her. And then, when we met her, I don't want to say much, but Aarti is like way more mature. The way she speaks and handles herself compared to, that young woman that we saw. And I told Avni, we need to get Aarti there.
We need to get her there. But this is the pushing her.
Didn't happen,
Yeah.
but she loved it. She loved modeling.
Yeah.
I said, you come home because there was going to be a professional photo shoot. I said, I'm going to show you how you need to turn, how you need to...
Your angles, the good side and the bad side.
and then she was doing it,
But she needs that. She needs the push. But the people that have come across in her life that push her in her comfort zone, even if it's out of her comfort zone, but it's acceptable to her, me or Abhishek or mom, we can't do this. We couldn't have pushed her to go to the gym. Or, Miss Holly said, so I have to do it. Gulshan auntie said, so I have to do it. It's almost like word of God. But they have been those drivers in her to push her in her comfort zone to be able to achieve what she can.
Her hoarding. I don't use Sheikh Zayed Road. I live in Arabian Ranches. I prefer taking 311.
Yeah.
But as long as that hoarding was there, I was driving. And I was slow. I would tell my husband, no, it's not. It's going to change. It's going to change.
Come just now.
That was a significant moment.
First time I
That was an
saw it, I
unbelievable
had
thing.
tears.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Oh my
that was
God.
just crazy.
We were just, we couldn't, it was just like, what is happening here, right? But then you understood the power of the social media piece, right? And I think Mom and Karishma's effort in that, because creating content and capturing content
It's
when it's
difficult.
a part-time thing is
It is,
very hard,
yeah.
right?
And with 3 kids. Karishma was still doing
for sure.
it.
But then, we widened the scope. The driver got involved, right? So he now is a very good cameraman overall. So he knows what he's doing, right? But then we now got some professional stuff behind that. And I think it is, when they say success is overnight, this has been a 30-year journey, right? From that point of view. But sometimes right place, right time, right messaging can really happen. And I think this country is very good for that because of the people.
Let's just talk about the campaign because if people don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So tell us what that campaign was all about.
So as far as I can remember, through Instagram, an agency got in touch to say that they're looking for a campaign for Adidas, and it's for some of their clothing wear. And Aarti looks like a...
that campaign had a particular name.
Yeah, can't remember that.
I can't remember what it was.
And Aarti looks like a great fit. Are you interested? So all of a sudden, group chat was like, do we ask for money? Do we not ask for money? What do we do here?
Your mom called me and said, no doing anything for free.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
for free.
you owe her. Yeah, they need to pay her.
And I think to their credit,
Yeah.
right? They said everybody is getting this,
Yeah.
and they gave
Yeah.
everybody that, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, fine, as long as it's all
Your mom
equal.
was just happy doing it for free.
Of
I said,
course,
no.
of course,
She has to
right?
be paid.
Because it was such
we
a
also had a very
Yeah,
sorry to cut
yeah.
you off, but a big conversation we had in the family as well is what is our message, right?
Mm.
What is our message by including her in this? What is our message to the world, right? It's inclusivity, it's equality, all of these
And
things,
diversity, yeah,
and
yeah.
diversity. So if that's what we stand for, and if everybody's getting the same amount, then that's okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if it was that nobody's getting it, then. And there was one other campaign where they said, no, we're not giving it.
I was the one who said, don't do it.
And we
then.
said, yeah.
there was a big divide in the family
Yeah.
of saying portfolio building is different from getting her out there versus doing that, right? And I wonder one day, because I hope we can get to a point where Aarti will decide, right? Where she will say, I think this is good, I want to do that, right? Right now, she has like 5 or 6 decision makers in her life, which should come down to maybe we give input and she takes a decision. And I think that would be great, right? Because she would then be able to have the ability to decide what is important for her. Because it was a very big name, they didn't want to pay, and we're like, why can't you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But in the end, we decided not to. No.
So the artist that I work with, Abdullah, he decides now.
Yeah.
And I say, they're coming, they want it for free, but it's this big name. He said, I don't care. Why should I do it for free? He doesn't
I
even...
saw it in Crate and Barrel, his work. I saw it and I was like, I was there with like a work colleague. I'm like, this guy is very famous. And she was like, yeah, okay. I'm like, no, it's a kind of a big deal.
You know, so even if I ask him, like I was turning 60 and I wanted to send an invite to my family. And I said, please, Abdullah, can you make an invite? And he said, for free? No. I said, but it's your 60th birthday gift to me. He said, no, you still need to pay me. And I respect him for that.
Yeah, why not?
Like, I am commissioning him, and like just everybody else who commissions him, why should he do it for free?
For sure.
And he took the money, and I said, okay, now give it back to me as my gift. So he said, no.
No.
You know, so that's how they, and she will for sure make her own decisions, you know. She will come to that point, and then she'll say, yes, I want to do it or no. You know, she's not going to say no for IFA, even if it's for free.
Yeah,
That I think we might succumb.
But
That
that's
she
living
can
her
be for
dream,
free.
right? That's her living her dream. And
Yeah.
you know, we still got to work on that one for sure.
You know,
But-
so the support group that I run, SFS, during the pandemic, I started inviting the Bollywood.
Online, yes.
online.
Yes.
And initially, your mom would sit with Aarti, like, what is she going to say and how is she going to talk to the Bollywood. You know, she was so good. And the way she would conduct herself and the questions she would ask them, and she would say, I've watched this movie of yours. I didn't like it. I didn't like her character. You know, when Gulshan Grover came,
Yeah.
and he's a villain and all.
He's only a villain.
Yeah. And they all said that we don't like you. And he said, that's not who I am. That's the character I play. He tried to explain to
Yeah.
them, but they still said, bad man or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, his characters. And they said, we don't like you because you do those roles. And it was good.
A moment of realization was because, you know, I remember when she was speaking at, I think it was World Down Syndrome Day or something at Expo, and we had to script it for her, and she had to practice it. And Aarti's struggles a lot if it's very precise
If
wording,
it's
Yeah.
right?
scripted,
Yeah.
yeah.
But after watching your podcast, I remember in December when the draft came around, I was like, this is unbelievable because it's her story
Yeah.
from
In
her
her
words
words.
for the first time, right? And she's really getting more and more confident with the public speaking and all of that. So you realize that there's so much left inside of her to say, and maybe we might be even holding her back on that piece, right? In terms of her saying her story even better. But it was magical. That was a major moment of, you know, breaking down in tears and seeing that overall, because she was just amazing to hear her story in her own
Yeah.
way. It was unbelievable.
And the way she sat,
yeah, she was
so
so
Yeah,
calm.
she was so
confident.
confident.
She was so
she
calm.
was like,
She
you know,
looked so
yeah.
like-
And I said, are you nervous? She said, do I have to be? I said, no. You don't, but don't be nervous. You know, you're just talking to me. Just look at me and talk to me. And you know, she was just so at ease.
Yeah, she was
It
very
was
comfortable.
just so easy.
But you know, she aspires to be like Abhishek and myself. It's because when I called her and I spoke to her and she said, "Did you like it, Dee?" I said, "Yeah, I spoke really well." She's like, "Did I speak like you and Bhaiya?" And I said, "I think you spoke better, like way better, you know." And because she obviously must see our videos and things like that, and that's when I really realized that, of course, she's always been aspirational to him and I, just because we're older and we've been there for her.
But
through her life.
fantastic
But-
role models, both of you.
But I think it was reiterated then again that she's still watching. You know, we might have our own lives and we might be continuing on with things, but she's still watching, and I think that
Absorbing.
absorbing what we do and what's happening around her as well, which is also, you know, it's nice to know that she takes all of that in.
You know, I did ask your mom some time back. Now, what's going to happen
Oh
when?
God, you're gonna do the emotional question.
What's going to happen when you both are no more? Come on, we're all getting older. And when I ask parents who have other kids, they say that's what they're going to do. You know, but when I asked Avni, have you asked your kids? She said, there's no need to.
Yeah, there's
You
no
know,
need to.
But a lot of, now, see, Aarti again is easy. I mean, she is independent. But, like for Zara, you know, it would be hard.
Sure.
You know, she's not independent. She would need a carer all the time. You know, so but do you think that this is my responsibility? I have to do it, or I want to do it?
I want to do it, but also you have to do it because, and it's not have to in a negative way for me because when I just explained the story of the beginning, we were included from the very beginning. So it is our story as well as hers. So it, you know, him, me, together, whatever it is between us to work it out. And our lives are set up in that way to make sure that if at a drop of a hat she needs to come, it's not an issue. You know, and yes, like you said, she is easy. She's very easy to accommodate. She's not demanding in any way. Only thing is she needs to come with a chef. That would be my request to my mom. She needs her own personal chef.
And a driver and a car.
Yeah, the driver in the car is still okay. I can manage, but the chef needs to come because it's very specific, those requirements.
So I think there's a few things, right? We've been very, very fortunate as a family with however the cards played in life that our whole entire nuclear family is in the same city. That's also, I mean,
Big plus.
you know that yourself, right? So I think we're very lucky with that within the same city you have 3 houses. So it is a comfortable environment for everybody involved, right? And you're getting a taste of what life could be at any point in time in the future, and you need to adjust against that. And to your question of want or need, I think because of what I said earlier, there is no question like that because it is just in normality as it is today. She comes often, we see her often, she's a part of the household, she has a room there already, she has a setup. It's already normal. It's not about want or need, right? If that situation was to come, the plug and play is not anything really needs to change, right? Maybe apart from the diet part. But in realistic, there's nothing that has to change. It's already been set up, and I think we're lucky we're all in the same city for that, right?
Massively.
The cards have really helped us for that one overall. Because, you know, my parents go away for 3-week holiday, nothing changes, right? The system is set up. We know exactly what we need to do. What's complicated is a schedule. It's very heavy, right? So that coordination, and you realize that mom does a very important job there. But that's also very easy.
That's why she needs the driver. He knows the schedule.
Yeah, exactly. It's very manageable otherwise, right? But I'm just saying it's already set up in that way. And I think there's an element of luck in that, but also just of how we're...
And also, I mean, touch wood, you know, financially you don't have, you know, there are a lot of families
Agreed.
which would have to, I mean, it would be almost like a burden to have an extra person.
That's fair.
I mean, the people, you know, in SFS, I see that.
Yeah.
You know, it is hard.
It is hard.
No, we're definitely very blessed
You know.
and lucky on that front.
There's a
on
family in
multiple
Pakistan
fronts.
whose parents passed away, and the sister was living here and working here, and she had to quit because there's no one to take care. Her brother also has Down syndrome. There's nobody to be there with him, and the parents did not make any arrangements in their lifetime. And now she had to quit her job. She doesn't have a job in Pakistan. And she's struggling. I mean, for her, it's become like a burden now, Sure. So there are instances like that.
No, I'm
and
sure.
it is...
My opening statement was we were very lucky on that, right? From multiple reasons.
Multiple fronts. Yeah,
So,
not just
I mean,
one.
we can only be thankful for that. Yeah.
Very, very thankful.
You know, before I end, I want to say, just like you all are so blessed to have her in your life, she's truly blessed, you know, to have the two of you and Karishma and the kids and, you know, this whole family that you all have. It's amazing, you know, that she has this amazing support system and the love,
For sure.
you know, and the respect you all give her. It's not only about supporting her when she's doing this sport and, you know, just not just being there, but you respect her and you love her. And, you know, she knows that. She talks about it often with me and, yeah, it's amazing.
No, she's a gem. She's a
But
real
you
So what is your message to the siblings watching?
I think if I look at Aarti's sort of journey, that now, you know, through her, she's an influencer now to some sort of level. But what is the message we want out of that, right? We want her to be a beacon of hope that if I can do it, you can do it. And I think what maybe today we have divulged more for people is like, how did she do it, right? And what is that support system behind her? And I think we've explained a lot about we didn't really know her full potential until it came in some way, shape, or form from outside. So that's one element of how you can basically try and explore that. Second is, you know, I don't think we should limit with the mindset of no. Operate with yes, let's try, and then we can see. And then third is, you have to always hope for a great, that village concept. There has to be that village around to really build up, bring up anybody, a normal child or otherwise, right? So building an ecosystem around you is very helpful. And I think, and someone like you, what you do is truly remarkable, right? And we are very fortunate. And I don't think I've said it to you enough, and I will continue to say it to you every time you message me about something. But it's really who we are, and you have been a big part of that. So thank you.
Thank you.
I think he's covered everything. He took all the good points. My message to siblings, in particular,
And especially if they're close in age,
close in age.
Yeah.
I think the human mind is its biggest enemy, and that goes to all of us, right? So we inhibit our own capabilities, and we project that knowingly, unknowingly, and we've learned through this process that being resourceful, saying yes to opportunities, finding the path, and the biggest credit to that goes to my mom. She's very resourceful. She gets one little hint about something, and she goes and she finds out, and she digs through it, and she digs and she digs and she digs, and she finds a way out of it, even if it's just, okay, let's try it. And I think that openness to try should be the number one motto for any siblings. To just try. You just don't know what's going to come out of it. Nothing might come out of it, but something might. And just keep going.
And enjoy.
And enjoy
sibling.
it. And
enjoy a sibling.
Enjoy your sibling and take them for who they are.
Yeah.
Take them for who they are, because they will give you a lot more than you expect.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. Thank you so much.
So hope you enjoyed this. And now we're going to be talking to loads more siblings. Please keep watching.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you.